Hey there, everybody. It's Ever, your friendly neighborhood audio engineer. First off, I just want to say thanks to everyone for being super patient and understanding with me. I have had some major technical difficulties with my editing software, which for legal reasons I will not name, but things are all fixed now. Everything should be back on a normal schedule, and I just want to once again say thank you and state how much I appreciate your understanding. Secondly, later in this episode, our lovely co-hosts Danni and Lexie are going to refer to an app called Randonauting, and while the prospect of it seems really cool and I wanted to keep it in the episode so that you could hear about it informationally, I just want to throw a disclaimer on it stating we are not affiliated with Randonauting. We are not sponsored by them in any way. We don't necessarily condone anybody doing that or anything else that could put them in harm's way. And anything you do is of your own risk and volition. Just wanted to throw that out there. But also just to say, like, hi, I make the noises and stuff, and you might hear my voice once or twice again. And just to thank y'all for your time and patience and understanding. I'm gonna let you get to the podcast now. Bye.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to our podcast, You Don't Look It. What has been up with you, Danni?
Oh, heck. I've been randomly violently ill, but only for a few hours at a time, and then it'll pass.
Oh, we love that.
Yeah, and then it'll come back, so that's great.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah, Ivar's decided to be an asshole during quarantine, and I am concerned that I will be having to get a new service dog because he's an asshole. And he's starting to have problems with not having been trained. Well, I am training him, but not in the way that he needs to be trained out in public with tons of people.
Right.
So I'm great. I hope this doesn't cause him to be reactive or, just because he's not having his needs met.
Oh, yeah, totally. This is definitely a difficult time because it's you can do as much training as you want at home, but you always need to brush up on public access, but can't do that right now.
I know, and I really like a lot of his things. He needed to work with strangers too, and I'm great. Now we can't do that because he was
wonderful.
We're working on strangers stepping over him, strangers if I'm in a seated position, strangers reaching over me and checking my blood pressure and doing all sorts of normal doctor stuff. Right. And just having him being okay with being under my legs in a confined area with somebody over me, which he's normally fine with. I think it just makes him nervous. I think he's afraid of it because he's tried to back out and break the tuck before.
Yeah, understandable. I would be too in that situation.
I would not like that.
I'd be let's go away from this.
Yeah, I don't really want to be here with this big ass man, over me and over my mom and pinned against a chair and some legs.
Oh, what a fun time. Yeah, I know. I feel much hasn't been up with me, because we literally talked yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I got my dinner leave box in the mail, which is HelloFresh, but cheaper.
Yum.
Took care of that. Went to Wendy's yesterday. I'm pretty sure they know that we go there basically every day now. But that shit's good. 4 for $4. Hell yeah. I'm spending only $8 on a meal for 2 people. So that's the extent of my life right now. Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, that's good. That's good and chill. I'm over here on the panic bus.
Hey.
I have to schedule a GRE or an MAT, depending on like different schools. For those of you that don't know, that's like a standardized test for grad school. So my advisor was like, oh yeah, schedule it no later than August 1st and do an internship over the summer so that you don't like not have anything, because you have to like have some kind of experience or something. I don't know. It makes you look good. But
that's insane though, because like I know a lot of internships are actually getting canceled.
Yes, I know. So I'm like, Dr. Ma'am. Yeah, so I have to have a vita, which is like an academic resume, which is like 20 pages long.
That's disgusting.
Yes, and a personal statement, which is like 2 to 3 pages long. And I need like 2 to 3 letters of recommendation too, and I am freaking out. And I still have a year of college left. I'm just a junior.
If it makes you feel better, I graduated and have no idea what I'm doing.
That's such a mood. I was like, I'll take a gap year and train dogs. And I'm like, bitch, you can't even fix your own dog's problem. What the fuck?
Oh my God. I noticed though that if you look at online schools, a lot of times the requirements are not as intense. Like a lot of times I looked at schools that were in the UK. And they have distance learning programs, and they're like good schools like University of Edinburgh and like University of Glasgow.
And see, I've thought about doing that too, because I really would like to live in Australia.
I want to live in fucking Scotland, but I know that'll never happen.
I know. I'm like, see, I have no prospects here. My family doesn't like me. Like, I have no significant other. It's just me and my dog. And they have service dogs in Australia, which just means he has to pass a test. But who the fuck knows if that's going to happen, because he's a dick. So I'm trash talking my dog today. I'm sorry. I just wanted, like, he was such a butt earlier today. I just wanted to cry. But yeah. So feasibly, I could move to Australia because I have nothing keeping me here. Like,
yeah, see, I have family which would not be pleased, and Steven's like, I don't want to be far from my family, and I'm like, okay, that's fair, but also America.
Right. I just want to be somewhere where there are no guns. I fear getting shot so bad.
Woman.
It scares the shit out of me. Like, I think about it all the time, and I'm like, yes, interact with the public as if anybody could be carrying a gun. And you know, I don't like to think like that. That doesn't make me comfortable. I don't feel safe here. Like, and everyone's like, oh, it's my rights. And if you believe it's your rights, I get it. I do. There are people out there that are very safe with guns. But the fact of the matter is, it's so easy to get them, and literally anybody can get them. Like, no matter if they've had, you know, a criminal record, or like have been violent criminals and killed people before, or if they have a severe mental illness, it's like, yes, we can just buy one at a gun show and there's like no background check hardly. And that's what scares me, is the fact that anybody could have one, even the people that are not supposed to have them. And I can't handle that anxiety.
Oh,
so
yeah. No.
I need to live somewhere where there are no guns.
I feel that. People get stabbed and shot across the river from me constantly.
Yes, there's constant gunfire here at night. Like, I just hear it going off all the time. And I'm like, there's this one redneck that shoots rounds into a ditch by the road out here.
No.
Yes. And I'm like, first of all, I'm terrified that one day it's going to go into a car because it's next to a road.
Right.
And really hurt somebody or kill people. And okay, my neighborhood personally is, you know, nice. It's a good neighborhood. But all the neighborhoods around mine are meth neighborhoods. And I live on the edge of the neighborhood, which means that, you know, down the street from me, a meth house caught fire. A meth lab caught fire when I was a child, and I just watched it go up in flames.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So,
there was a mobile meth lab that was found a few months back in my hometown.
We love this. Breaking Bad started that shit, I guarantee. I'm sure it was going on before, but Breaking Bad probably popularized that amongst the meth community.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, so that's some fun stuff. But yeah, so what story do you have for me today?
Liminal space hunters. Much like Ghostbusters, but way less cool and 10 times more just eerie. Not creepy, but like eerie.
I'm here for it.
So actually, the person that's doing our editing and mixing ever, who you have heard us talk about, used to do this with me because she used to live in my town and we've known each other since we were in middle school.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, she knows every terrible thing and horrible phase I went through. She was there for all of it. And I apologize.
She'll corroborate it all.
I mean, to be fair, I was there during her emo phase too, which, you know, they were very different emo phases, but each phase respectively was bad in its own beautiful way. We're two very different types of emo. I, for whatever reason, tried to mix boho with emo, so I had emo hair, but I was wearing beanies, but I was wearing like boho flowy tops, and it was 2012, and I
really
hated
iconic.
my life. Yeah, and I wore purple colored contacts all the time.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and I didn't tease my hair. I just had the emo haircut, so it was just flat. That's not what this story is about, but I'm having flashbacks.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay, so I'm gonna move on from that. Okay. These kind of took place around, I want to say, like 2015 to 2016, maybe into 2017.
Okay.
And it was me and Ever, and sometimes, occasionally, our group of friends that we hung out with. And yeah, let's get into it.
All right.
So, I'm going to go ahead and explain liminal spaces before we get started.
Sounds good. Yeah, because I have no idea what they are.
Okay, so the word liminal space comes from the Latin word meaning threshold. A liminal space is a crossing over space, a space that has left something behind, yet you are not fully in something else. It is a transition space. Another definition for it would be liminality is the quality of ambiguity or disorientation that occurs in the middle stage of a rite of passage when participants no longer hold their pre-ritual status and have not yet begun transition to the status they will hold when the rite is complete.
That sounds like a pre-cult initiation.
That does sound like a pre-cult initiation. Wow. Okay, so there are two very different definitions. Yeah. One of these is like a threshold in space, and the other one's like, join our cult. Exactly. Join our cult.
Oh my gosh.
So the way that I have experienced liminal spaces, and I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm hesitant to call myself a medium or a psychic or anything like that because I don't believe that. Mm-hmm. And I'm also not really experienced enough to even claim that. But I have been able to see spirits since I was a very young child.
Ooh.
And I've always been able to feel them and things like that, and like feel them off of other people as well, like feel other people's energy. And I always thought it was bizarre. I always thought I had a mood disorder or something because I was like, I would randomly get like really, really sad, or I would randomly get like, you know, a really like warm and fuzzy feeling, or
right.
randomly get like this like fear feeling. And I'm like, okay, I need to be on mood stabilizers. And then I realized that like it was like mirroring people around me, and like their energy was like affecting me, and I was letting it affect me and letting it take over me. And then, I don't know, it's strange.
That's interesting.
Technically that would be considered an empath, but like,
oh, okay, yeah.
I'm such a logical person. I have a very hard time accepting that I might be an empath or that I can see spirits.
Understandable.
I'm in a weird place with this.
That's fair.
And for a long time, I thought I had like a delusional disorder, or I was hallucinating.
Right.
And I was like, cool. Don't tell anybody about it because I'll lock you up.
Great.
And I didn't even start believing that like the things that I was seeing were real until my sister and other people that would visit my house would describe spirits in my house that I had never talked about. And they would describe it perfectly, like down to details. And like people won't spend the night in my house.
Yeah, you won't catch me there.
Yeah. One of my sister's friends from high school, like she slept here once, refused to come back. She's like, nope, that house is haunted. I'm not going back. And I'm like, that's cool. Respect, but what did you see?
Right.
Please explain to me which one you saw.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I did grow up in a haunted house. More stories on some of that later on after I finish this story.
Ooh.
Because they're not as long. They're like side stories. But there's a lot of reasons my house is haunted. I can go into those later and in another podcast. If you guys want to hear it more in depth, just let me know.
Hell yeah. I know I do.
It's big spook. I can collect the stories. I can collect some stories for my sister too, because
Ooh.
we both see different things, because I live on the second floor. She lives on the first floor in the basement.
Oh, okay.
The spirits upstairs are different from, they kind of stay in their own place.
Okay.
Upstairs is more haunted because that's where we have our Civil War era antiques.
Gotcha. That would make sense.
We have a ballroom mirror in my dining room that
Oh yeah, that mirror.
it came with the house. Because you can't move it, and it's so heavy, the bolt holding it up goes through like a cement wall that's like 3 feet thick, and you can see the other weighted bolt on the other side of the garage.
Jeez.
Like, you can't move it.
How does someone make that?
I don't know, because the weirdest part of this is, like, the story behind this mirror is during Sherman's March to the Sea in Charleston, they lowered this mirror out of the ballroom and into bushes.
Okay.
Because, like, Sherman was burning everything in Charleston when he marched to the sea. And so they were trying to save valuables by hiding them in, like, I guess the bushes, the woods, wherever they could bury them.
That makes sense.
And
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. So the things that are attached to that mirror are interesting. Some of them are very nice. Some of them I don't mind at all. We get along. Some of them I'm kind of like, I'll mind my business, you mind your business. We don't fight with each other. We don't interact. And then there are some that are just really fucking not happy campers, which I understand. They probably burned to death.
That's true.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That'll do it. That'll put you in a poor mood.
It'll put you in a poor mood for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't even like mentioning, like, the march to the sea. Like, I feel like I can't breathe and, like, something is weighing down on me. Like, I can mention it outside of the house, but when I'm in my house, I get, like, cold sweats. It's creepy.
That is creepy.
And, like, other people have said that, like, when they talk about it in my house, they get the same feeling, but when they're out of my house, it's fine. It's weird.
That is.
It's weird.
They're just like, don't talk about it here. Thanks.
They're like, we don't want to hear about that. Get the fuck out of my house.
Right.
Because this is my house, because...
Like, you're a guest in my house, bitch.
Yeah. This one's forever my house. We've claimed it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool, because the mirror's not coming with us when we move. Because we literally cannot move it. I think if it ever gets moved, it'll end up in a museum, because no regular movers could move that.
Right.
And we've touched it up a few times, because we're pretty sure it's wood with gold leaf.
Okay.
We've had people come and touch it up before. And we've tried to clean it before, but it's like, we're worried about putting products on it if we do damage it worse.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's always risky when it's old.
We don't want to sell it with the house, because we got this house from my grandmother, who bought it in, like, the 60s, and it was, like, dirt cheap back then.
Right.
And my mom's been living here since she was 5.
That's wild.
I have no idea how we would sell this house with that mirror inside of it. And, like, to be ethical, I would do a disclaimer. It is haunted.
Right.
So...
I love it when you see those pictures of those houses for sale and it's like, not haunted. It's like, okay then.
Okay then. In the South, so many things are haunted, though, that, like, it's a law. You have to tell somebody if somebody died in the house in South Carolina.
I know it varies state to state. I know in New Hampshire they don't have to tell you. Even if you ask, apparently they don't have to tell you.
Yeah, like, it's not illegal for them to just be like, oh, we're not going to tell you, or to lie. Like, they can lie about it and it's not illegal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'll probably go use a haunting story later on for, like, I guess my non-personal story.
Yeah.
Because things are so haunted in the South. Like, I know everybody else from other parts of the world are probably like, that's ridiculous. Ghosts aren't real.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You guys had slavery and a bunch of wars, so there'd be some pretty bitchy ghosts.
Not to mention, like, this is one of the oldest parts of America that had been settled.
New England's also very haunted for similar reasons.
People in the South are like, they believe in ghosts. They believe things are haunted. Like, most of the people in the South that don't believe in ghosts were not born here and did not grow up here. So it's like, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And my friends in Washington are like, what? And I'm like, no, it's a thing. It's a thing. We don't fuck with them.
It's real.
It's real. Okay, that was a long detour. So I'm going to get back into liminal spaces.
Okay.
So
I enjoyed it.
Our experience of liminal spaces is that it is like where the veil of our world and the spirit world like meet. So,
okay.
And this is just like out of my experience. This is not through like validated research or through like talking to other mediums or empaths or things like that. This is just like what I theorize and what I've experienced.
Yeah.
So like the spirits are on a different time than we are. So when it's day here, it's night for them. And when it's night for us, it's day there. Like everything's flipped. And it's like,
okay.
It's like a mirror image.
That makes sense why there's a lot of activity at night, it seems.
Yeah, everything's mirrored. And like that's why like in older buildings they'll be like, oh, the ghost walked through the walls. And they'll look at the blueprints and there used to be a door there, or that used to be another room.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
How they follow kind of the blueprints from what it was like when they were alive.
Yeah, so it's like they see what things used to look like. And
right.
They still adhere to like, you know, old structures.
Right. Which is very interesting. I mean, makes sense.
I think it's really cool. And I've also found that like, you know how everyone's like, oh, an exorcism will always work. And I'm like, well, that's not really true. So there's universal stuff that works for pretty much all spirits. And then there's stuff that like, if you know specifically that that spirit was heavily religious and aligned with like Christianity or Islam or Buddhism, certain things will work and be effective. But like, say I'm pagan and I'm a spirit and somebody tries to use like a Christian exorcism, that's not really going to work.
Will you just laugh at them from the other side?
I'll make it worse. You thought, bitch.
Joke's on you.
So basically, liminal spaces are where the veil is thinner. So normal people that may not have been able to experience spiritual energy and are not very attuned to it, not very sensitive to it, it's easier for them to see. They don't necessarily become more sensitive, but because the veil is thinner, the energy is stronger.
Okay.
It's basically where these places meet. And me and Ever, and occasionally friends, would go liminal space hunting because they are everywhere in the South. Like, they are abundant. So
that's crafty.
I know. I think it's because of all, like, you know, the murder and the slavery.
Yeah,
they'll do it. Treating people like garbage and killing them brutally, that might make things haunted. And that happened all over the place. Could not escape it. Still can't escape it. Sorry, that got dark. Okay, I'm not gonna get into a rant because I'll go off. So one liminal space that we frequented more often than not was this park that was on the way to her boyfriend at the time's house.
Okay. And
we noticed it one day and we're like, oh, that's weird. That wasn't there before. But it looked like it had been like established because like we thought that street wasn't there before. And we're like, well, maybe we just did that thing where you black out when you drive and then you end up at your destination. And you're like, shit, I shouldn't have a driver's license.
Yep, I do that.
And so we're like, well, maybe we just didn't see it because it was very established. Like there were houses, there was a whole park. The street looked old. It was cracked. So you're like, okay, that's probably been there. And we just didn't see it.
Right. Like that didn't just show up overnight.
Yeah. Like that didn't just pop up. And so we went there and like, it was weird. It was like, once you got onto the street, like the wind stopped blowing. It was like deathly calm. There was never any people. Like it was super creepy because there would be like dogs and cats and random animals and they would just sit there and stare at you.
What the fuck?
Yeah. They wouldn't bark. They wouldn't like meow at you. They wouldn't approach you. They would just watch.
That's so weird.
And it was so creepy. Like sometimes the dogs were in the woods. Sometimes they were in people's yards. And I was like, at first I was like, maybe they have an electric fence. And then the dog just walked into the street and walked off. And like,
I was like, bye.
Bye. And I was like, okay. And that happened a lot. That happened so many times. And it was fucking weird.
Damn.
And you know, as kids do in the South, since there's nothing to do other than smoke weed, we would occasionally go there to smoke. And it was so creepy. And like, whenever you mentioned the fact that there were never any cars going down the street, a car would show up. And it would like make improbable like loops. And it was like the same car every time. And then we would mention that like, that's weird, that car just came by like 4 times. A new car would come by.
That's so uncomfy.
And this happened like more than once. Like, it wasn't just one weird day.
I would think I was about to get kidnapped.
I know, it wasn't just like one weird day where we might have been kidnapped. It was like, this happened like every time we went. And
that's so weird.
We went multiple times. And then like, there was one time where we saw a woman walking down the street that was next to it. And then we drove through, and then she showed up on another street a block down, which is literally impossible because we were in a car and she was walking with a stroller.
I would have been like, what's going on here?
Like if you know me, you know that I pay like extreme attention to details because I'm very hyper vigilant. Yeah. And like, woman was wearing the same clothes, same stroller. Like, she was in like a very like bright neon like jacket. Like, it wasn't
something you could easily confuse with another artist.
Yeah, it wasn't like somebody was just wearing like a regular like gray sweatshirt.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't like something that you would see people wearing like often.
Quite distinct attire.
Yes. And it was goose pimples. It was creepy.
I could just imagine that, just driving, then like 3 seconds later, like way over, I'd be like, that's the same bitch.
Like, that's literally impossible because we're going 25 miles an hour and she was walking.
Right.
And it was creepy. And the other creepy thing is like, we would look this up on Google Maps, or we tried to at one point, because we were like, you know, how long has this been there? Like, you know, like, does it have like, you know, say the name of the park? Because it had like swing sets and stuff. So we're like, well, if it's a local park, it'll say like, you know, neighborhood park or, you know, whatever. And when you look it up on Google Maps, it was not there. And you know how when you switch to satellite and you can see things, but like occasionally in areas that like there's nothing there, it'll be kind of blurry.
Yep.
Just that one section was blurred out.
What the fuck? Were the streets on Google Maps at all?
I don't think it was. I think that whole street was blurred out, like it wasn't there. But the streets connecting it were there.
What? That's so no.
And like, we thought it just wasn't loading right, and so we tried this on like 2 phones and a laptop, and it did the same thing.
I would have been so scared. I would have been like, the fuck was I?
It was fucking creepy. Like, we walked into an alternate dimension. Like, ooh. And like, we stopped going after a while because we're like, this is fucking creepy. And like, another thing that we've experienced with liminal spaces is that like, sometimes they solidify. Like, we'll go places that are like very clearly liminal spaces, and then we'll come back like a few days later or a year later, and it's like concrete. People have started showing up there. Like, there's no weird like phenomenon with animals. Birds are chirping, the wind's blowing. It's normal.
It just kind of becomes part of our world.
Yes, it's kind of like, not really like the Matrix, but it's kind of like, you know, it was a theory and then it like became fact.
It's kind of, it's like the concept that if like you think about something enough, you bring it into reality, sort of thing.
Yeah, that was kind of the deal. It was weird. And then like sometimes we would go back and it would be gone. Like, liminal spaces, not the park. I'll get to the park later, but like, there were other liminal spaces where we would go once, and then we would go again and it would not be there. And we would search for like hours, and we'd come back like days in a row trying to find it, and it was just not there.
What the hell?
Yeah, and sometimes they were like, you know, there's only one way to get there. There's only one street, you know, and it's on the street, and it's not there.
Yep, that's a big no for me, folks.
And I'm not talking like, you know, just a few couches moved. Like, I'm talking like things like were cemented into the ground. Like, it would not have been possible for them to be gone the next day. So we went back to this park once, about a year or so after we had stopped going.
Mm-hmm.
And it was roped off with like police tape, and it had a bunch of signs on it that said authorized personnel only. And
it's kind of scary.
I was like, okay, that's weird. And it was like boarded off too. Like, I remember there being like plywood boards around certain parts of it.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, hope that wasn't like a murder scene or anything.
Right.
And we started walking around and like in it, and it looked exactly the same, only the playset that was once green was now red, and in the same exact and everything, it was like the same exact playset. It was still old, it was still weathered, only the color had changed. And like, yeah, okay, you could say that it was painted, but it was flipped. It was like flipped in the other direction.
That's so weird.
It was fucking weird.
I don't like that.
And it was so scary, and I don't think we've been back since. But it's been years. It's been years, and I haven't tried to go back.
You got to take me somewhere when I come down.
I will. Come with me, and we'll go find our old liminal spaces.
Hell yeah.
And hopefully I could find one that's still active so that we could, that you can, like, experience it yourself. Because it's creepy. There's this app called Randonauting where it gives you random coordinates that you go to. And I've been seeing people on TikTok doing randonauting, and they'll go to these random coordinates, and they'll be like in the woods somewhere, like off the beaten trail, and they'll find things like creepy cult-like encampments. They'll find bones. One woman found an old fridge packed with meat in Ziploc bags, and she had to call the police.
I want to know if that was human or not.
Someone found like a fort made out of like sticks that were like crossed, like the old, like, I don't know if you've seen them in like old war movies where like people are on horseback and they do that so that they can't get the horses over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like a bunch of sticks like crisscrossed together. And then there's like a fort built out of like fallen woods and trees, and there was like a deer skull hanging off of it and like a bunch of creepy ass chairs inside.
This is some Blair Witch shit.
Yeah, it was fucking not comfortable, and I'm like, I kind of want to go randonauting, but I'm also a pussy, and I don't want to find a dead body.
Let's you, me, Ever, let's grab Riley. Let's all go.
I know, like, I'm scared, and like, I think I saw one where somebody took their, where they went randonauting with their, like, dog who was a retired cadaver dog.
Oh, yeah.
Dog was, like, alerting to things all over the place. She's like, she had to call the police because you have to.
Right.
If a cadaver dog ever alerts to anything, she's like, I'm never doing that again.
That is terrifying. I'd be like, I would ask my client with the dogs that I walk and be like, yeah, want to go with me? so
you want to go with me? Like, do you have like a dog trained in protection and another dog that's a cadaver dog?
Right.
I don't want to find anything.
Exactly.
Not know it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's terrifying.
I think the lady that found meat in the fridge, they tested it and it turned out to be animal meat.
Thank God.
Still weird.
Oh,
it was a huge ass old like white fridge filled with animal meat in the woods, like in plastic bags. Why?
Right.
Why? What happened?
How'd you get there?
Yeah, like
God, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it was uncomfy. I don't know if I should save my ghost stories for next time or if I should just lay a few out here because I have very many.
I say go for it. Tell me a few.
Okay. So this one also involves Ever, which is why I'm just going to tell it since it's related.
Yes.
So Ever's little sister, who I'm going to call Raven because I know she really likes her privacy.
Yep.
Is very, very in tune with things like this.
Okay.
And she kind of doesn't block it out. So like, I've told her things like you need to start blocking it out because you're just opening portals and you're like literally attracting terrible things to your house because she like revels in this energy and she really likes it and she really likes interacting with spirits, but she doesn't take steps very often to maybe slow it down a bit or filter things or like, because like I put protections on this room and on myself and on the house because we get passer-throughs that are not always super friendly.
Right.
And I hate talking about this because I always feel like I'm running out of breath and it always feels like something is sitting on my chest. Like I have a horrible pit feeling when I tell this story.
Oh my God.
It also happened in this room. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I was spending the night at Ever's house and she said that she saw something in the night that was long and gangly and.
No.
Kind of looked like a Dementor.
Oh.
Yeah, and that I was sleeping through it, and that like my energy just like physically pushed it off. And she told me about it in the morning, and she was like petrified. Like I don't think she slept for the rest of the night.
Understandable. I wouldn't have.
Oh, I didn't sleep for a week after this. It followed me home. Yes.
That's one of my biggest fucking fears.
Yes, and it was probably like, it was taller than the door frame in my room. My ceilings are probably 7 feet tall, and it kind of looked like a Dementor. It had like almost like spines for arms, where it was really just bendy and almost like snake-like. And it just sat in my doorway and stared at me all night long. And I didn't have sleep paralysis. I never went to sleep. I didn't think I was hallucinating. I might have been. Who knows?
I'm fucking baffled. I just, you guys can't see me, but I am so stressed.
Yeah, I'm stressed talking about it. Like I'm actually getting nervous because I had a mirror on that door.
Oh.
Which broke after this. It had a steel cable that was rated for like, I think 50 pounds. That mirror probably weighed 15 or 20. Yeah. And the screws that the cable was attached to were really sturdy as well. And it broke in the middle of the cable. And I tried to break this cable again because I was like, I don't understand. This is rated for like 50 pounds. I had to get wire cutters to cut that cable.
Oh, my Lord.
I am convinced that it like... So there's a theory that I have, that a lot of other people have, that if you place a mirror on the exterior wall of your house, it can act as a portal for like other things to come through. And it works the same for like doors in your house, which is why I'm never hanging another mirror on a door.
Oh my God, I have to take the fucking mirror off my door now. I'm scared.
I'm pretty sure that mirror had bad energy when I got it, though.
Okay.
Like, it didn't feel right when I got it. And I was like, fuck it, I need a mirror. And so I just hung it anyway. And literally, I moved that mirror back in because I was taking nudes for a painting for a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Because she's painting people's nudes for her art final. And I was like, yeah, I'll send you some. So I had to move the mirror in here to get a good picture. Because they were all like mirror selfies. That was like the theme. And literally my room had so much activity. Like the next 3 days afterwards, I was having horrific nightmares. I was like, okay, cool. So good to know you're still haunted. And you didn't like what I used you for. So I put it back out in the hall and I was like, yep, cleansing the room.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, this thing watched me for like a full week. And I was falling asleep and sleeping during the day. And I had woken up. Okay, so I've had sleep paralysis before, and this did not feel like sleep paralysis. I had like fallen asleep around 6 a.m. It was probably 8 or 9, and I felt something sitting on my chest, and I couldn't open my right eye. I could only open my left eye, and I saw half of its face, and it was like this like ripped up face that was like bleeding and like skeleton like.
What the fuck? And oh my God.
Literally.
I would have yeeted myself.
I could not get up. I could not move the right side of my body. Like, okay, so I've had sleep paralysis and like usually you can't move anything at all. And like everyone like reports seeing similar, not everyone, but a lot of people report seeing similar things, which is a man in a hat or something on their chest.
Yes, I have heard those things.
And so that's why I thought at first it was sleep paralysis. But
I would have had a straight up heart attack right there.
It was not. I could feel it touching my face. And
no, that's not okay. This is worse than the man who licks.
Yes, I have never tried so hard to sit up before in my life. And when I sat up, I heard this horrific scream in my right ear that I have never heard before in my life.
I'm going to vomit. This is terrible. Oh my God. I'm in my basement.
I have like goose pimples right now. Like I still get really freaked. This probably happened like 3 years ago. I still get completely panicked talking about this, and I'm actually kind of freaking out a little bit.
Oh my God, I'm getting really anxious.
I'm incredibly anxious. Like I'm like slurring my speech and like speeding up. It was the most terrifying thing that has ever happened to me in this house.
Oh my God, I'm so nauseated.
I love the spirits in this house. Like I used to be scared of them as a child, but like we are cool now.
Which is fair. Like,
I respect them. Yeah, children don't really understand. Like I respect them. I hope they respect me. I try to give them their space. I try not to fuck with their things. You know, a good mutual roommate experience. This was not that.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. That's invasive.
It's normal to have pass-throughs. Like, there are some spirits that are tied to objects. There are some attachments. I used to have an attachment named Brian. And there are some spirits that just drift. And occasionally we'll get drifters that come by that are not, always the nicest or the most respectful, or they're just flat out a little bit scary. And then we get some that are really, really nice. It just depends. Like, they're just like people. They're bad people. They're good people.
Right. That makes sense.
So, yeah. I think it was a drifter that... I don't think it was a drifter. I think it was attracted to Raven's, like, energy. Because she has...
I feel like I'm being watched. I'm so uncomfortable.
Oh, me too. Like, I'm actually, like... I'm gonna cleanse this room after talking about that, because the spirits in my house actually don't like being talked about. They're like...
Okay.
Don't be fucking gossiping. And I'm like, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm a damn fool. Like,
it's like you gossiping hoe.
I know, for real. But yeah, no, like, every time I tell it, I feel like there's something just on my back, and it's so creepy.
Ugh, that is uncomfortable. Yeah, no. Ugh. That's terrifying. I don't know. Oh my, what I would have done. Cried, died, all of the above.
Yeah, I don't even know how I fixed it. I really don't even know how I got rid of it.
Right.
Like, I genuinely don't. I tried my best, and I'm like, I don't know what happened. I mean, and I don't have an attachment anymore. I used to have an attachment named Brian, and somebody saged me and got rid of him, and I'm kind of sad about it.
Was he a nice guy?
Yeah. So attachments are like spirits that particularly like your energy and follow you around all the time. They don't have to be your relatives. They don't even have to have known you or lived in the same time period.
Okay.
So
damn.
We think Brian was like World War I era. And we're pretty sure he came with a bayonet in my uncle's house. And he had been attached to me from the time that I was 5 years old until I was probably like 20.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so that's a long time.
Yeah. And he was a good guy, and he kept me safe. And now I'm like, life without him and horrible spirits coming around and fucking with me. Like, I don't know how to fix it on my own next time if something like that happens, because I don't even think I fixed it on my own last time.
Right. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. Did you want to tell any other ghost stories or no? It's fine if you do not. I'm good either way.
We'll see what the people like. If the people demand more ghost stories, yes. I have many tales.
Sounds wonderful to me. I enjoyed that. I was wanted to pee myself and vomit the whole time, but
oh yeah,
it was great.
A lot of people refuse to sleep at my house.
Yeah, now that I know this info, if I ever come down there, I'm not going to your home.
Oh yeah, the source of a lot of the spirits in my house is a Civil War era mirror.
Oh, that creepy one.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, well, I very much enjoyed that. That was terrifying and intriguing and also eerie. So I'll try and brighten it up with a story of my own. So I have decided to talk about a person. Okay, so it's pronounced a variety of ways. The Greek way is Alcibiades, but most people pronounce it Alcibiades. So if I switch, I'm so sorry. Okay, so this is the story of Alcibiades. My sources were Wikipedia, Ancient History Encyclopedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, and the YouTube channel Overly Sarcastic Productions.
We love that.
I know. So Alcibiades was known as a statesman and general, and he was also very well known as basically Greece's Playboy. So Alcibiades was born in Athens, Greece, around 450 BC. He was only a few years old when his father was killed in battle, so he was raised by his uncle, who was Pericles, which many people have probably heard of from history classes, and he was a statesman and political leader in Athens. Pericles was pretty preoccupied with politics, so he didn't really offer the proper guidance to Alcibiades. So one thing that needs to be known about Alcibiades, that's very important, may not sound it, but it is, was he was hella attractive and like straight up
the
banging.
most important thing about him is that he is hella attractive.
And many people referred to him as the most attractive man in all of ancient Greece.
That's all I want to be.
And so everyone loved him. He was very vain because of this as well. But he was also very intelligent. And so Socrates took Alcibiades under his wing and took him on as a student. There are also claims that Socrates took Alcibiades on in an attempt to improve Alcibiades' moral character because he was known to have, quote, loose morals.
Loose morals being a whore.
So yeah, there were claims that Socrates was like, let's make this man, not so, vain and terrible. So later on in Socrates' life, he was put under trial for, quote, corrupting the youth.
Socrates was?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, just clarifying.
Yes. So a lot of the people trying to convict Socrates used Alcibiades as a example of this corruption of youth because he had no morals, no sense of loyalty, no sense of anything.
Like, nah, bro, I was gonna be a hoe anyway.
Exactly. And the people on Socrates' side was like, no, Alcibiades was a hoe and disloyal like his entire life. It was gonna happen. Socrates didn't cause that.
Might as well be an educated hoe.
Exactly.
I mean, really, that's all we strive for here.
So they really liked using Alcibiades in that sense. But back to Socrates taking Alcibiades on as a student. So Socrates was actually more than a mentor to Alcibiades. He was also a lover.
Ooh. Wasn't Socrates like very old though?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So this was like, there was an age gap and it was large.
It was quite large. Okay, so in ancient Greece, it was very common for there to be sexual relationships between boys / young men and much older men, which was the case for Socrates and Alcibiades.
Predatory pedophilia.
Woman.
That's kind of an oxymoron because pedophilia is predatory in nature.
Right.
But yeah, no, would you still be considered a pedophile if you were like really, really old, but the person you were with was still like 20, but you were like 70 or 80? Like, I feel like
I guess it really depends if it's consensual or not, because at that point it would just be more like Socrates was Alcibiades' sugar daddy.
Yeah, that's true. Because I guess by the time you're like 20, you like understand shit and like consent and like what is not okay.
Right. I'm not sure how old Alcibiades was, but I did know, I said, I doubt this was always like consensual, but Alcibiades was very fond of Socrates. He considered him his one true lover.
True love with your sugar daddy.
Exactly.
He's not just my sugar daddy, okay? I love him.
I love him.
I love him.
You don't get it, Dad.
It's different.
So he had many relationships with older men. And like I said, in ancient Greece, this was a common thing, and I doubt it was always consensual, but Alcibiades would honestly bang anyone he could. So I wouldn't be surprised if all of his relationships were like that. But again, Socrates was his one. He really enjoyed him. So as I mentioned, Alcibiades was noted as having loose morals, as he would constantly drink and sleep with anyone he could.
Does that make your morals loose, though? I feel like morality is like helping people that are in danger. Like, don't be kink shaming him. Like,
true. Don't yuck his yum.
Just because he's kinky doesn't mean he has no morals. I don't know.
You will learn, though, some reasons why he truly didn't have any morals.
Yeah, because if he's doing things to blatantly screw people over, that's not having morals.
His favorite thing was to manipulate people.
Okay, there we go.
Like, I watched a video of this psychology professor and like this doctor in psychology, and he was saying how Alcibiades was like, he showed the symptoms of a psychopath.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so they said he was basically just an ancient psychopath. So
Me.
Oh
all
my
of us
gosh.
fucking making poor choices.
Yeah, honestly, though, I feel. So people thought he had loose morals because of his constant just doing whatever the fuck he wanted. And getting lit and banging around. So sources say that no matter his age, he was trying to get in someone's pants and vice versa. So, as a young man, he was taking husbands from their wives, and as he got older, he was taking wives from their husbands.
Why the change?
Because in ancient Greece, older men like little boys. But once they get past an age, they're not interested anymore.
I didn't think that was how sexuality worked, but
that was very much the culture in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
But yeah, so once he outgrew his older men, he went on and went to the wives instead.
So was he just going after men because he was conditioned to go after men, or because of like that toxic culture?
I think it was honestly a little bit everything, but I also think he was probably going after anyone he could.
Yeah, that's true. Because it could be from like the thing of like, if you do suffer from that kind of like personality disorder, it's not about the person, it's about what you get out of it.
Right. Yeah, he was very he loved sexual gratification. That was his thing, which is why he was considered one of the biggest playboys. He was always sleeping with someone new, could charm anyone. It was very charismatic.
It's amazing he didn't die of an STD.
I'm very surprised, honestly. So eventually, Alcibiades left the world of philosophy and rhetoric and decided to focus on politics and war, which Socrates was not pleased with.
He is not having it.
He wasn't.
His sugar daddy is displeased.
He's like, you had one fucking job. So Alcibiades was like, bye. I'm smart, but like I'm gonna go do some war shit, and I'm gonna use my intelligence to be a politician. And so, in 420 BCE, Alcibiades was appointed as a general and became a member of the Athenian military council. There was another member of the council, Nicias, who had very different. I also apologize if I pronounce anyone's name wrong. I'm not Greek, so I try. So there was another member of the council, Nicias, who had very different views from Alcibiades and often attacked his character. Nicias advocated for and negotiated peace with the Spartans. And during this time, the Peloponnesian War was taking place, which was a war between Sparta and Athens. So peace was probably a good idea. Alcibiades was like, nah. And he was like, let's make this anti-Sparta alliance with Argos, Elise, and Mantinea. So he was like, let's do it. And people were like, okay, you're hot, you're charismatic, we like you, we'll go for it.
You're hot and charismatic, let's go.
They're like, we support you, sounds Gucci. Let's have a alliance that will probably fuck us up more. And, let's go for it. So that alliance ended 2 years later. So it didn't last very long at all. So the Athenians were not impressed with the short-lived alliance. So to prevent himself from being ostracized, Alcibiades joined forces with Nicias against Hyperbolus, who wanted Alcibiades gone. And so, as any charismatic psychopath does, Alcibiades soon won back the favor of the people by entering chariots and winning multiple races during the Olympics. So in 415 BC, delegates from the Sicilian city of Segesta arrived in Athens and asked for help in their war against another Sicilian city, Selinus, which was on the opposite side of Sicily. So Nicias was like, nah, we should probably avoid getting involved.
Just maybe.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, nah, he was all about, keeping things neutral if he could, preventing any violence that was unnecessary. So Alcibiades was like, guys, get this. What if instead of going to help, we just attack and take over all of Sicily?
It'll be fine. It'll go great. And we'll all be victorious. It'll be fine.
He's like, think of how rich we could get. And so everyone was like, oh my God, we love you, Alcibiades. Let's do it. And so Nikias was like, I don't think this is a good idea. He's like, this is also too expensive. We need like, I don't know, almost 200 ships. And Alcibiades was like, oh, thanks, bitch. You're right. He's like, Nikias is so bitch. Right. He's like, problem solved. We'll just make more ships. And Nikias was like, that wasn't what I was trying to say.
We'll just print more money and then we'll be fine and the economy will be fine and it'll be great.
So Nikias was like, this is not the point I was trying to make. I was trying to say that we don't have the resources. But instead, that encouraged everyone to be like, "Oh yeah, we'll just build more ships and then we'll go do it."
I love when people are like, "We don't have the resources to take care of this," and everyone's like, "Oh, so we don't have the resources, so we're gonna keep doing it anyway in another roundabout way that uses more resources we don't have."
Yeah, exactly. Oh God! So that's what they did. They made more ships and they took off for Sicily. So Alcibiades was appointed as a general along with Nikias, who wanted nothing to do with that at all. He was like, I don't want this. And so in a turn of fate, they're just like, hey, Nikias, you can be a general for this. And he's like,
he's like, I really don't want to be involved, and now I'm in possession of power, and I don't know what to do, and I just kind of want to cry and go to bed, so...
Exactly. He was like, I'm done here, please.
That's how I feel when people put me in positions of power. I'm like, it's a bad idea.
You don't want to do this.
You have made a grave mistake, and I've told you no, but you kept pushing, and you can't get mad at me when I don't know what I'm doing later.
It's like, I warned you.
I did warn you, and you continued to put me in a position of power, and it was your fault.
Okay, so before they took off, someone went through the streets of Athens at night and vandalized the many Hermae throughout the city, which are statues of Hermes, the god of travel. And so these statues weren't really statues per se. They were more like giant rectangular stones with the head of Hermes and a dick.
Yes.
And so
the two things that matter. The face and the genitals. Good job, Greece.
Someone went around and was just ripping the dicks off of the statues.
Yes.
Which was hella sacrilegious.
Yes.
Because Hermes was one of their gods. And it was also seen as a bad omen for their travel because Hermes was the god of travel. So it was seen, they were like, maybe we shouldn't go. Like, this is a sign. They went anyway. But because
listen, okay? We surrender to no vandals. We give in to nobody. We listen to no man, no god, no vandal.
Like,
we're gonna go
grab those dicks.
Just wrap them up and take them with you. Pull them off the ground. Safe travel.
Oh my God. But because of Alcibiades' reputation, a lot of people accused him of getting drunk and running through the city with his friends to vandalize the statues.
Ah, yes.
This didn't make much sense because, like, he was going to travel, so why would he want to affect the morale of his crew by giving them such a bad omen?
Yeah,
but
that really
they were going to
make
put
sense.
him on trial anyway. And
fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck it.
Alcibiades was like, okay, let's do this trial before I go so I can clear my name because I didn't do this. And so you don't need to, like, call me back when I'm all the way over in Sicily. And everyone was like, nah. So he was like, okay. So he took off, and when he arrived in Sicily, there were Athenians there to take him back to Athens because while he was gone, they decided to hold a trial and decided that he was guilty and he would be put to death.
Oh, even though he wasn't there, but it's fine.
Exactly. So they did
it's
that.
Fine.
And Alcibiades was like, okay, cool. No problem. I want to sail in my own boat, though. So, like, let me sail in my boat behind you.
I know you're going to kill me, but listen. If you can give me my own boat so I can go there by myself, I'll do it. I'll show up for my execution. Just no supervision. I can totally take care of myself.
He's like, I'll just follow behind you. It'll be fine.
And it'll be great, and nobody has to worry.
And, you know, being the charismatic person he was, people were like, okay, sounds good. Let's do this.
He'll be fine.
So they took off, And everyone agreed. And so they went, and Alcibiades followed. But as they were going, he got farther and farther away and fell behind.
Like, oh, I can't help it. My sails aren't working.
He was like, And so then he was like, all right, let's take a quick left. And he yeeted off to Sparta, who was the enemy of Athens.
Ah, yes. Always seek asylum with your enemies. Well, with the enemies of the people that are chasing you.
So this is where I think his true loose morals come in. So once Alcibiades arrived in Sparta, he went to the king and was like, I got secrets about the Athenian state if you want to take me in. And they're like, okay. So
give me all your military secrets.
Exactly. So Alcibiades told the secrets and advised Sparta now in a war against Athens. So he completely flip-flopped, went to the other side. His family had ties to Sparta, but he was born in Athens, and there was never any note of whether this is why. I really don't think it is, because he was constantly doing what was best for him. So the king was like, cool, let's do this. So he lived there for a few years and advised the king. And Alcibiades would have stayed longer, but one day King Aegis's wife had a baby that looked a little bit too much like Alcibiades.
How unfortunate would that be if she actually didn't cheat with him and it was genuinely the king's baby?
Oh, they definitely cheated.
Oh, he definitely, because like that woman's in a position of power. He can gain something from this, and he's pretty, so like clearly that's the only thing that matters in finding a sexual partner in ancient Greece. So
a woman. So yeah, he banged her, and yeah, the baby came out, and they're like, oh wow, Alcibiades, this guy has your hair. Oh wow, he has your eyes. Oh, he has your nose. Oh
wow, is this such a pretty baby, and it looks just like you. How funny. Wow, that's hilarious. I've only ever slept with my husband. Wow, that's hysterical.
So the king was not too pleased, and he's like, yeah, I don't really like you anymore. Understandably so.
Yeah. Also, I always found it weird how everyone got angry at the person their significant other cheated with and not their significant other.
I know. I literally, oh my gosh, I know.
If anybody has been in that situation, please explain to me why you're more mad at the person your significant other cheated with than your significant other. Because I think I'd be more mad at my significant other because it's like, maybe that person didn't know she was in a relationship, you know?
True.
Maybe she like pursued them and I didn't. Like, and she didn't tell them. I don't know.
That's the shit I'm saying. But definitely in this position, yeah, I don't know why he wasn't really mad at his wife. Perhaps he was. Who knows? They didn't mention it. But I can see why he's mad at Alcibiades, because Alcibiades is like his advisor and then goes, bangs his wife and gets her pregnant. So he was like, I don't really enjoy your presence anymore. So Alcibiades was like, that's understandable. I'm going to go. And
noted, I'm out eat.
So he's like, I'm gonna go talk to the leaders of Persia. So Persia had been assisting Sparta, but Alcibiades was like, no, you should actually become an ally of Athens. And he wanted that so that he could get money and return to Athens, and everyone would love him again because he'd be rich, he'd have money, he'd give him support.
He can just pay off the court and not be executed.
Exactly. So to do that, there needed to be an oligarchy in Athens in order to eliminate the death penalty. It was currently a democracy. And so long story short, they managed to turn the city into an oligarchy with a coup d'etat. And it wasn't the best, but Alcibiades didn't really care because he's like, oh, if I return, I won't be executed, so it's cool. Like, this isn't really helping anyone else, but works for me. So Alcibiades was like, okay, I'm going to go with this Athenian fleet and fight some battles. So he did that, and upon winning them, he was like, I'm going to finally go back to Athens. So he returned to Athens in 407 BC. When Alcibiades returned, he was welcomed with open arms, and everyone considered him a hero. And ultimately, they forgave him, and they were like, we'll abolish all these charges. So even though technically he was safe, when he went back, he still had those charges hanging over him. But when he came back, they were like, we fucking love you. You're cool. We'll get rid of the charges.
You're
it's
cool,
gooch.
So we'll get rid of the charges. It's fine. It doesn't matter that any of your crimes happened in the past. It's totally fine.
It's true. To be fair, I don't think he did it. I don't think he ripped the dicks off those statues.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I really don't think that he did because it doesn't really make sense. But
yeah. So he made it back. He played them and was like, yeet, they love me again.
Returns with the dicks, glues them back onto the statues. Like, look, everything's fine. Look, I just fixed it. So it's like I never even did it in the first place.
So once he returned, he was reinstated as a general. And about a year later, he set out from Athens with 100 ships. And after a failed attempt to take the island of Andros, he went to Notium, where they were closer to the Spartan fleet led by Lysander. There was an increase in financial support for the Spartans during that time. So this led to Sparta having a much larger navy, and they would recruit anyone they could, including Athenian deserters. So they had a lot of people. They had a lot of resources.
I don't know how you recruit a deserter. I mean,
the Athenian deserters were like, we could get more money and better care over with the Spartans.
I guess I was thinking it through the lens of like, I don't want to fight these battles. I just want to go home and be with my family. Like,
also fair.
Also, the Spartans were not fond of deserters, so I'm actually kind of surprised they took them in.
I know. At that point, they were just like, let's take everyone, and it helped them.
Yeah, that's true.
They gave them a lot of resources. And so Alcibiades knew that as they were, the Athenians didn't stand a chance. So he went to his helmsman, Antiochus, and was like, I'm going to go get help and money so that we actually have a chance and can get a bigger navy. So just watch the Spartans while I'm gone. Don't engage. Don't attack them. Don't do anything. Just watch, you know? And so Alcibiades left, and Antiochus was like, okay, squad, let's go. And so they attacked the Spartans. And so, unsurprisingly, the Athenian navy was demolished and everyone fucking died. So, despite this being solely Antiochus's fault, everyone blamed Alcibiades. So, Alcibiades was like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to exile myself.
Before you guys do it, I'll just do it myself. Like, it's fine.
Like, I'm done here. It's fine.
I give up Athens. You guys won.
Seriously. So he's like, I'm just going to exile myself. So he went to his castle in northeastern Greece. And in 405 BC, the last battle of the Peloponnesian War, the Battle of Aegispotami. Yeah, that's how you say it. Aegispotami.
Why just just completely butcher every single one of these names? And somebody who is Greek is like, listen, man, these were so off. Like, I was cackling the whole time.
I was like, okay, I know the Greek pronunciation of like Alcibiades and Socrates, but I'm like, I don't know the other ones, so I'll just switch it all to the American pronunciation. So the final battle, Aegispotami, occurred near Alcibiades' castle, and he could see that the location of the Athenian military was super disadvantageous. So he was like, yo, commander, you should move or you're going to lose and die. And the commander was like, get the fuck out, Alcibiades. No one likes you. And so
get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
And so he didn't listen. Alcibiades is like, hey, I told you though, so bye. And we're not so surprised, but the Athenians lost that battle. And after all of this, Alcibiades decided to move away and take refuge in Phrygia. I believe Phrygia, one of those.
Frigid bitch.
Exactly. And there he lived with his mistress.
Oh, also a frigid bitch. Sorry. Hate myself.
He had many mistresses. He got married at one point, but he was constantly hooking up with prostitutes during that time. So he wasn't super loyal. Another loose moral right there is just not being loyal to his wife.
With his track record, are you expecting him to be, though? Like, if you marry him knowing who he is, like...
And he only married her for her money, too.
She probably knew that, honestly.
Yeah.
She was probably like...
She did.
She's probably like, fuck it, my babies are going to be gorgeous, and, like...
It's like, it'll be fine. He did have 2 kids. One he named Alcibiades the Young. And then they had a daughter that they did not tell the name of, so...
They're just like, whatever. Rude. She doesn't get a name. She doesn't deserve a name. Fuck women's rights.
They're like, this bitch.
We're just going to call her this bitch. Like, it's terrible.
I think his wife was dead at this point, so he was like, I'm going to live with my mistress. I forgot her name. Started with a T, I believe. But in 404 BC, Lysander, who was the general who led the Spartan navy in that attack where the Athenian navy was totally wrecked. So Lysander was like, I'm fed up with this guy, and I'm fed up with his, constantly changing loyalties. Like, so he sent assassins to Alcibiades' house. So when they got there, the assassins set the house on fire, and Alcibiades ran out completely naked with a dagger in exactly as one does. So he's completely naked, ran out, had a dagger in hand, and he just went on a stabbing spree. He's like, get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out of my house. Damn.
And so he managed to kill some people, but eventually, after being shot about 15 times with arrows, he finally died.
That was a tough bastard right there.
Truly.
I mean, naked with arrows sticking out of him, just stabbing people.
That's like Hugh Glass level tough.
I know. Are you just telling the historical stories of tough ass men that just should have died a lot of times but just didn't? Is that your theme?
Honestly, maybe. I just, even though he was kind of a shit guy, absolutely love Alcibiades, one of my favorite historical people. I love ancient Greece, so.
Fair. It is really interesting.
I'm going to do a woman next time, though, I swear.
I know. I'm thinking about themes for history stuff so that we don't end up overlapping each other. And I'm thinking either powerful women in history or LGBTQ plus history.
Yeah.
I think I'm doing both though, because I research LGBTQ history for honestly, for as long as I've been alive, it fascinates me. I'm like, yes, my lesbian roots. Where are my people? Where did they come from? What is our
Understandable.
history?
Yes, I want to hear that because I know nothing.
Honestly, lesbians have a whole different culture. And growing up in the South, an oppressed person, no, not really, because I look really straight, so nobody's ever come after me. But
we'll take it.
We'll take it. No, there's just not a lot of there's a lot of lesbians in the South, but we're all hiding. We're all stealth.
Yeah.
And then we look at each other and we both know the other one is gay, and we stare at each other in a panic, and we're you can see it running through our minds between each other, telepathic communication. We're tell her she's cute, tell her you like her hair, anything. And then we just say oh yeah, hey, bye. And then you see them both freaking out, and they're I should have said something.
Oh my gosh. That's honestly iconic.
It's great. And then I also dated the other 3 gay girls in my town, and they all dated each other, and it's fine. So we've all dated each other, and
what a good time.
Sometimes hang out, and sometimes we don't hang out, or we only hang out to get tea on the other one, or
that's amazing.
It's horrifying.
Oh my God.
Horrifying. I try to not get involved. I have exes hit me up all the time, and they're who guess who I'm dating now? And I'm please leave me alone. Leave me alone.
It's I don't give a shit.
Rat Girl's the worst about that one.
Rat Girl. I'm so hyped for Rat Girl's story. Yeah. But yeah, so that was Alcibiades. You'll probably hear a lot of stories from me that are either in ancient times or the Middle Ages. I'm a big fan of the Middle Ages. I know the people who lived in the Middle Ages were certainly not a big fan of the Middle Ages, but I am.
I feel that's true of any timeline. Nobody's truly a fan of, growing up in the 50s and 60s.
Fair.
But everyone's the 50s and 60s were so cool. And then people are no, racism was rampant, and segregation was a thing.
Yeah, so it's there's never going to be a good time.
There's never going to be a good time. Nobody's ever going to truly the time frame, the time period they were born in.
It's true. It's true.
We're unhappy. Humans are unhappy creatures, and we will never be satisfied.
That's a fair statement. I know I'm not constantly with my country.
I know, and I forget how things that all the things that have happened in my parents' lifetime that I don't think of those things happening in their lifetime.
Right. No, I feel that.
Because they're not even that old. They're they're in their early 50s. And they're like, oh, yeah, the Cold War. Or my dad's like, oh, yeah, I remember when desegregation happened in the first grade. And I was like, what? And she's like,
it's like wild to think it wasn't that long ago.
Right. And then people are like, racism is dead. And I'm like, you do realize your parents remembered desegregation, right?
So it's really not.
It's really not that long ago.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. Well, I'm hyped to hear all of these future stories and see what you decide to tell me. And I'm also excited to tell some crazy stories of my own.
I'm literally so excited that I can't help but tell little mini stories. Like, I'm so bad about it. I'm like, Dan, keep your secrets. Save them for later.
I feel that. No, like when we always tend to talk both before and after we record, and during that time we always get these like mini stories and we're like, oh, don't share too much, we want to hear it on the podcast.
I know, and I can't help it. My life is literally only stories. Like,
oh yeah. It's like that's all I talk about.
That's all I talk about. Like, that's literally all conversations with me. It's horrible.
It's like, remember that time.
I know, it's like
oof. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, so next week we'll have a personal story of mine, and Danni, I know, will tell me an amazing story of the past. So I'm pretty excited.
Still haven't found my story. Still have to do my research.
I literally did all my research last night and this morning, so.
Oh yeah, like I'm trying to keep up with classes right now, and I almost missed registration for classes, and
oh my gosh.
I'm trying so hard. I literally only need 3 classes to graduate, but I still need like 30 credits, which means that I'm taking a bunch of bullshit classes and I don't know what to take.
Annoying.
Yeah. I'm like, pick something easy, something you don't care about. Like,
right.
Just ask around, ask all the seniors what was the easiest and stupidest class you got. A clap for credit class, just take it.
It's like taking a leave.
Yeah. That's all I do, just take it.
But yeah, so we'll definitely be back with some more fun stories. We really appreciate you guys if you're still listening, and we haven't scared you off yet. Only a few episodes in.
The overshare is scaring people off.
Yeah, seriously. So if you're still here, we appreciate you. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on pretty much any platform you can think of. We have Twitter, Facebook. Episodes will be posted to YouTube, just the audio though. And we have Instagram. And so all those are You Don't Look It podcasts. You can find us there. And if you like Instagram, look us up, You Don't Look It podcast. And in our bio, there's a link to all of our social medias. So it's a nice, easy way to find it all at one place. And if you feel so inclined and want to assist us with continuing this adventure of a podcast, you are more than welcome to become a patron and donate to our Patreon. And we're still figuring out tiers. We only have one right now, and figuring out what we want to add to those. So right now we have a private patron-only Facebook group as well as a private Discord channel. We're hoping to do Q&As or shout-outs, stuff like that. We definitely want to hear from you guys about what you want to see on those.
I know for the private Discord, I've been thinking about starting a game night. We would have to pick games that other people have and that we have, and that our computers can run, because my computer is a dinosaur and a little bit of piece of shit.
Fair.
So, but we would love to like interact with you guys and do something special for you guys. So if you ever have any suggestions, feel free to email us or DM us on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or wherever you wish to reach out. We will find it.
Exactly. And we definitely, if you have suggestions for stories even, feel free to reach out to us as well. Also, our email is youdon'tlookitpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, we are hoping to do listener stories maybe once a month. So we would absolutely love to hear some of your own personal crazy stories. So if you'd like to share those, send us an email and give us the lowdown. And we will pick a handful and read them each in a listener story each month. So that everyone can hear the craziness that is your life as well.
We're very excited, certainly.
Yeah.
I'm literally so jazzed for listener stories. That's like, I think the thing I'm looking forward to most.
Oh, I think so too. It's like, I know I have some crazy ass stories. I want to hear someone else's too.
I know. I'm like, I hope we actually get enough to fill a full episode. We might not at first and just have to like
True.
do
so
a
feel free to send us multiple stories if you want.
Yes.
Fill the podcast. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will be back with some more fun and crazy stories next time. All right. Bye.
Toodles.